Take the hike!
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Ian Schmitt-Ernst. I am the Southeast organizer with Wisconsin Conservation Voters. Joining me today is our Northeast organizer, Jessica Nemchek, and partners, leaders, and community members from Milwaukee and across the state. I normally love any opportunity I have to see the amazing people we have here today with us this morning, but today is not a day for celebration. We stand here today in the shadow of the We Energies downtown Milwaukee corporate headquarters. We Energies, the multi-billion-dollar investor-owned utility that is once again attempting to jack up our energy bills, this time another 14%. If approved, We Energies customers will have had 6 rate increases since 2020, raising our bills by 43.4%. And We Energies is by no means down on their luck or strapped for cash. In 2025 alone, We Energies bragged about their record $1.6 billion profit while paying $0 in federal taxes. And in the same year, We Energies CEO Scott Lauber was given another $1 million pay raise. Boo. From housing to healthcare to groceries to childcare, the skyrocketing cost of living is out of control. Our electric bills don't need to be this high. That's why, for the last 2 months, Wisconsin Conservation Voters ran a campaign to help ratepayers tell We Energies to take a hike. Starting in July, we helped We Energies ratepayers send more than 1,000 messages to CEO Scott Lauber, demanding an end to the energy rate increases. From digital ad engagement to door-to-door canvassing to being out in communities in Northeast and Southeast Wisconsin, one thing is clear: people are sick of We Energies rate hikes. With that, I want to pass it over to our great speakers today. First up is Laura Lane with Faith in Place. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. A while back, I was at the state capitol and I watched as a middle-aged mom stood in front of an audience of legislators and television cameras to describe how she couldn't afford to heat her home when her children were young. During the harsh Wisconsin winters, she and her families spent nights huddling together in one freezing room while trying to survive the bitterly cold nights. Her children made a game out of seeing who could blow the largest puffs of cold air in the room. As someone who works with multi-faith communities, this story saddens me, and it reminds me of a nearly universal tenet held across major faith traditions: the idea that we are here to be good neighbors and to treat one another with care, compassion, and dignity. We Energies is not being a good neighbor. Last year, while parents were choosing between feeding their children or keeping them warm in the winter or cool in the summer, as Ian said, We Energies raked in $1.6 billion in profit and paid zero federal taxes. In that same year, as we just heard, We Energies CEO Scott Lauber was given more than $1 million pay raise. And now the utility corporation has the audacity to demand another 14% rate hike. If approved, We Energies customers will have had 6 rate hikes since 2020, increasing bills by more than 40%. Put simply, We Energies shareholders and corporate executives are raking in massive profits while further burdening hardworking Wisconsin families. We are here today to ask We Energies to be a good neighbor. Keep energy affordable. Stop raising rates on Wisconsin families while executives and shareholders reap the rewards. Stop making families pay for expensive new fossil fuel infrastructure. Invest instead in cleaner, healthier, more affordable, renewable energy. Renewable energy is the solution we need for lower energy bills. And stop shifting corporate costs onto ordinary people. Families should not subsidize massive data centers or pay for We Energy's corporate lobbying. We urge the Public Service Commission to reject this rate increase because behind every corporation and commission are people making choices about who pays and whose interests come first. We ask you to choose Wisconsin families. We ask you to be the neighbor our communities deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura. Our next speaker is going to be Julia Alberth with Healthy Climate Wisconsin.
While searching for their first job, a recent college graduate is forced to choose between paying for groceries or paying for their utility bill. Faced with rising utility bills, a disabled vet starts splitting their pills daily to make them last longer. Young parents already struggling with the costs of a new baby must decide between paying rent and keeping the heat on. Energy unaffordability is a public health crisis. My name is Julia Alberth, and I'm a public health professional, and I'm here representing Healthy Climate Wisconsin. We are a statewide nonprofit of 1,400 health professionals and healthcare workers who come together to advocate for climate action, and we care deeply about the communities that we serve. And we're here because We Energies is trying to raise our rates again. This is the third time since 2022. They're asking for a 14% increase on utility bills that are already too high for Wisconsin families. If approved, We Energies would pocket $480 million from the rate increase over the next 2 years, at a time when they are already making record profits. Just last year, We Energies reported $1.6 billion in net income. Meanwhile, Wisconsin families struggle to afford the basic necessities to live. Clinicians see the consequences firsthand. In exam rooms, in emergency departments, and in quiet conversations where patients admit that they have been rationing heat, electricity, food, or medication. And unlike many of the conditions health professionals treat, this is not fixed with a simple prescription. An energy burden, or the percentage of household income that goes towards energy bills, is not experienced equally. According to a 2024 analysis by the Sierra Club, Black and Latino neighborhoods experience higher energy burden than white neighborhoods. And Milwaukee is among some of the highest racial disparities in the nation, with Black and Latino neighborhoods in Milwaukee experiencing 2 times the energy burden of their white neighborhood counterparts. These health inequities are not due to random chance. They are the result of a long history of racist residential segregation practices that have left Black and brown neighborhoods with less energy efficient housing stock. When communities experience high energy burden, they are forced to make impossible decisions to choose between basic human needs. They must choose between keeping their home heated or cooled and maintaining access to phone and internet for essential information and services, or paying for groceries, medication, childcare, or rent. But together we can take action. The Public Service Commission is hosting a public hearing on the proposed We Energies rate increase. This is a crucial opportunity to have your voice heard by the decision makers who make the ultimate decision of whether or not We Energies gets to increase their rates, and if so, by how much. When the public spoke out against the 2025 and 2026 rate increases, it resulted in the Public Service Commission approving increases that were $188 million less than what We Energies requested. Your voice does matter. The hearing will be held on September 1st at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. in person at the Marquette University Alumni Memorial Union and virtually. We ask that you add your voice to ours and bring your family and friends and join us for a day of taking our power back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julia. Our next speaker will be Milwaukee County Supervisor Ann O'Connor.
Thank you, Ian. I'm here to reiterate and repeat the concerns that have been expressed at multiple levels of local government. Concerns expressed by elected officials at Milwaukee County, of which I am one, and elected officials at the 19 municipalities within Milwaukee County. And we are expressing these concerns on the behalf of all of us here today and of all of us who pay the rates. These are concerns that We Energies should center the health and well-being of Milwaukee County residents and not its decision-making based on its own profits or the profits of large-scale energy users. Earlier this year, I was surprised to see a request for an easement come across my desk. This easement would be granted to American Transmission Company on county-owned land adjacent to Silver Spring and I-41 for the Mill Road Granville Transmission Line Project. And it's stated up front that this is to meet increasing demand from existing customers as well as new large-scale electrical loads. I'm going to repeat that. New large-scale existing loads. So our concerns are that we are being asked to pay and are being overly burdened at the expense of profits of not only We Energies, but other large-scale users. So I was pleased that in May of this year, the Intergovernmental Cooperation Council, comprised of all 19 municipalities within Milwaukee County, unanimously passed a resolution expressing their concern around these proposed rate hikes. We did the same in May of this year at the Milwaukee County Board of Supervisors. We are asking for We Energies to be accountable to all of us, the residents, and just as importantly, we are asking them to hold themselves accountable for the own actions they have outlined in their 2021 climate report. We want them to prioritize the health and the physical and economic well-being of the residents of Milwaukee County. Without their commitment to sustainable, renewable sources of energy, it will be extremely difficult for Milwaukee County to reach our own climate action goals. We are asking for them to do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor O'Connor. Our last speaker today will be Yusuf Adama with the Wisconsin Ecojustice Base Builders and Walnut Way.
All right, let's start this out with some crowd participation. After me, people over profits. People over profits. Stop rate increases. Stop rate increases. Here we go. Hello and thank you to Wisconsin conservation voters for hosting this today. I want to start out by saying something simple. We Energies is asking Wisconsinites, families, to pay more money. And when a monopoly utility asks the public to pay more, the burden should be on that utility to prove that those increases are necessary, fair, and truly in the public interest. The Public Service Commission's missions is to ensure that Wisconsinites have access to safe, reliable, affordable, and environmentally responsible utility services. That means the PSC is not simply here to determine whether We Energies wants to spend more money. It must determine whether Wisconsin families should be required to pay for it. And that distinction matters. We Energies is proposing an increase that could eventually cost a typical household roughly $260 more every year, and not just the 1 year, but every year after. For many families, that's not a small amount. We've all heard some version of the statistic that Americans cannot handle a $400 emergency. The latest Federal Reserve data tells us that about 37% of American adults could not cover a $400 emergency entirely with cash or any equivalent. So when we talk about another $20 a month, every month, we're talking about that coming out of groceries, out of rent, out of medication, transportation, out of families' abilities to save anything right now. And electricity is not an optional expense. Wisconsin already recognizes this. We protect families during disconnections, during dangerous winter conditions, because we understand that losing heat can lead to illnesses, injury, and death. And increasingly extreme summer heat presents those same dangers. So affordability is not separate from safety. Affordability is part of reliability. That is why We Energies must be held accountable for the choices that they are making that are driving these costs up. Its parent company has reported billions in earnings, while executive compensation is in the multi-millions. At that same time, customers are repeatedly being asked to absorb higher rates. And now Wisconsin is facing enormous new electricity demand from large corporate customers, including data centers. If those customers require billions of dollars in new generation, transmission, or other infrastructure, ordinary households should not become the financial backstop for that development. We Energy should have to clearly demonstrate who benefits from every major investment, who created the need for it, and who should be responsible for paying for it. That same scrutiny should be applied to investments in fossil fuel infrastructure. At a time where we understand both the health impacts, the pollution, and the volatility of fossil fuel prices, customers should not automatically be locked into decades of cost simply because that is the utility's preferred investment maneuver. We should be investing in efficiency, weatherization, renewable energy, resilience, and solutions that can actually reduce household energy burdens. So my request to the Public Service Commission is do not give We Energies a blank check. Scrutinize those costs, demand transparency, require new large users to pay their fair share, as was echoed in the spring, reject costs that are unnecessarily or unfairly shifted onto residential customers, and hold We Energies accountable to the public that has been granted the privilege of serving. A regulated monopoly comes with an obligation. We Energies might have a right to a reasonable return, but Wisconsin families also have a right to reasonable rates. And when those interests conflict, the Public Service Commission must stand firmly in defense of the public interest. The Wisconsin Ecojustice Base Builders will be hosting a rally at this same location, 11:30, September 1st, before the 1 o'clock session. Please go, add your voice to the record. Again, September 1st, 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. with an 11:30 rally. Thank you again, Wisconsin Conservation voters, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Yusuf, and thank you again to all of our speakers, partners, community members who joined us here today to tell We Energies that a 14% rate hike is unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate it once again, and thank you all for being here.